What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another mailbag. This is mailbag number 8, and we're getting these closer to Monday. Now, this one's on a Tuesday. I've been doing them like Wednesdays, Thursdays. I want to get them back to Monday. And one final thing. On these mailbags, please don't ask me trade-related questions. And I say that because I am going to do a trade talk series. And in that series, it'll basically be like a mailbag, except you can post your questions on that video. And that video will basically be like a mailbag, except it will be for trade questions only. So the mailbag, no trade questions. That trade talk video, only trade questions. Therefore, I'm only going to answer your questions from the past week that didn't involve trades. Now, some of these questions I'm not going to answer because they aren't really relevant anymore. So a lot of these questions were asked like 5-6 days ago, and some of them don't really apply to the current Blazers situation. For example, somebody asking what we should do if Rodney Hood is out for an extended period of time. Rodney Hood's back, so it doesn't really make sense to answer that question. I just put this in 1080p for you guys, so hopefully it looks a little bit better. Hopefully it's a little clearer. I just realized I was recording in like 520p or something weird. So here we go, crystal clear, jumping into the questions. The first question I got is from Rock Solid Gaming. He says, what do you like more, Dame's rap albums or the CJ Pull-Up podcast? And honestly, I know it sounds weird because I host podcasts on my channel and do one of my own, but I haven't listened to a full CJ McCollum podcast. It's kind of weird to compare a podcast to a rap album, but this past Dame rap album, I actually enjoyed it. So, Embarking Box says, I could be overreacting to the opening night game and preseason, but my opinion on Tolliver has definitely soured. When we get Gasol back, should Scout take his minutes and play alongside of Gasol instead? 100%, and I know you asked this probably after game 1, maybe after game 2, I don't know, but Scout is terrific. Scout is a really, really good player. Zach Collins is going to be out for a while, but I'm not as pessimistic about Zach Collins being out for a while as I thought I would be, because I think Scout can replace Collins' role. I think Scout can play some power forward. I would like to see Scout play with Gasol. Scout definitely deserves more minutes than Tolliver, and I think he could do a better job at the power forward spot than Tolliver. So if Gasol comes back and takes that backup center role, and then Scout gets benched while Anthony Tolliver still plays, I will be the first one on my platform that's absolutely going crazy about that. I will be venting about that. I'll be saying how ridiculous it is, because that would be absolutely ridiculous for Tolliver to still have a role and Scout to get benched. Scout deserves minutes. He deserves at least 20 minutes a game in my opinion. So I do hope that when Gasol comes back and takes that backup center role, that we play Scout at power forward and move Tolliver to more of a reserve role. Alex Chavez says, hey, do you think Dame will ever win MVP? And right now he's playing like one. And if the team was successful so far this season, he would be one of the top 2-3 candidates for MVP. If he plays like this all season, he definitely has a chance to win MVP, given that the Blazers win enough games to have enough team success for him to win that award, because how well your team does matters also. Patriotic Truth News says, Monday mailbag question, I like seeing Whiteside playing with a smile on his face. Do you think he would resign at a discount like Rodney Hood did last year? And then the rest of that question is trade talk, which I'll get to in the trade talk video, but I don't think Whiteside is going to sign at a discount. We wouldn't really need to sign Whiteside to a discount because we have his bird rights. The thing is with Rodney Hood is we didn't have his bird rights, so we had to use a taxpayer mid-level exception for Hood, which was only worth about $5.7 million. So that's why Hood had to resign at a discount. And I don't think Whiteside will be on the team next year. I think that he'll end up getting traded at the trade deadline, and if not, then I think he'll leave in free agency, because Nurkic is our long-term starting center, and I think Whiteside is good enough where he still deserves a starting spot. So I don't think Whiteside is going to be on our team long-term. Cash Carter, what about picking up Jamal Crawford from free agency? He's too old, man. He's not good. He wasn't good when he played here when he was in his prime, and he's definitely not good now. He's inefficient, absolutely horrible defender, just not a good player anymore. He has a lot of name recognition, he has a lot of history behind his name and behind him as a player, but that doesn't mean that he's any good now. AER0 says, where is your right ear? It's right here. IF Pangy says, what would it take for Simons to be 6th man of the year? Can you see him doing it? It would take more minutes. Simons should be playing more minutes, and I don't see him doing it because he's not getting enough minutes. He's talented. He's playing great basketball right now, in my opinion. He should definitely see at least 20 minutes per game, upwards of 25 minutes per game. That would involve staggering Dame and CJ, and I might drop a quick hitting video on that later this week. Few questions for next mailbag from Connor McIntosh. Why do you think Stotts is reluctant to play Scal? I have no idea. It boggles my mind. Connor adds on with, I understand he's young and inconsistent in some areas, but I personally like him a lot more than Tolliver, who's getting played more than Scal. Also, do you think our poor perimeter defense is due to personnel, the major changes in our roster, or Stotts' defensive system? I think it might be slightly due to personnel, but Stotts' defense has always been very conservative. He doesn't really coach a hard-nosed defense. He coaches more of a soft, protect the rim and try and give up mid-range shots defense. We don't play aggressive defense. We don't really pressure. We don't really hedge the pick and roll. We just kind of sag the big back and hope that we don't get scored on. So Stotts' schemes, I was outspoken on the past 2 post-game shows, but I'm not a fan of Stotts as a coach, and these past couple of games have shown exactly why. And I think that a lot of you guys already see it. And those who don't see eye to eye with me on Terry Stotts, I feel like are starting to come around and see what I'm talking about. Ben C. Darling says, Mailbag, what type of rookie season do you think Nassir Little will have? And Nassir Little isn't playing, so he's not going to really have a rookie season. It's going to be more developmental, working out with him in practice, trying to improve his skill. He's just a very raw player, so I understand why he's not playing, but Gary Trent Jr. is getting a chance here and there, and he has done absolutely nothing with it. I'd rather see a guy like Little, who still probably wouldn't provide you any offense, but at least he would provide you good defense, and at least he would rebound. I want to see Little get a chance over Gary Trent Jr. right now, because honestly, with the way our perimeter defense has struggled lately, maybe it's time to play a hard-nosed defender like Little, who's strong, who has a long wingspan, who has perimeter quickness, who plays with energy, who would play his ass off in the game if he got in. Maybe we need to play somebody like that when we're struggling against a team like the Golden State Warriors, who are playing a bunch of no-name scrubs. Tommy Thompson says, if Tolliver and Mario continue to struggle, do you think Rodney will get more minutes as small ball 4? Being made if a backup 4 keeps being a negative. And this was made before Zach Collins got hurt, but apparently the Blazers brass isn't interested in a backup 4. Apparently they're not interested in adding anybody, which makes no sense because we really need to add somebody. Jason Quick tweeted something about how they wouldn't want to add another backup 4 and use that 15th roster spot because of the tax implications, but that doesn't make much sense to me because we've heard that money isn't an obstacle and the payroll's already a very high payroll. So what is paying a player $1.5 million and paying another $1.5 million in tax? How is that much of an obstacle all of a sudden? It doesn't make much sense to me why we wouldn't add anybody. And we have seen Rodney a lot at small ball 4. It works against certain lineups, but against bigger lineups, it doesn't work. We can't have Rodney Hood guarding LaMarcus Aldridge. We can't have Rodney Hood guarding Anthony Davis. So Rodney works as a small ball 4 situationally, but that's not something that we should rely on. We should really go out and get a backup 4. We should really go out and get Kenneth Faried, or maybe even a Jonas Jerebko or an Amir Johnson or somebody like that. We need somebody with experience. We need somebody that can play that backup 4. I'd rather have Jerebko than Tolliver. I'd rather have Amir Johnson than Tolliver. But it looks like Portland's not going to make a move, and they're just going to hope that that position isn't that much of a sore spot until they're able to get some guys back. William Felder says, what do you think we will do when Nurkic gets back with Whiteside? I think we'll trade him. It only makes sense. Big expiring contract. We need improvement at other areas. Now we don't have our starting power forward until March, so we could definitely use an upgrade at that spot because right now we're starting Anthony freaking Tolliver. So I would certainly trade Whiteside once Nurkic gets back. Will they do it? I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like there's about a 75% chance that Whiteside gets traded at the deadline. Julian says, why doesn't Terry Stotts start Bazemore and have Rodney Hood come off the bench? Rodney Hood would be the spark off the bench and be a good release valve for the younger players, and his ISO play feels wrong to me considering we already have CJ on the court who's a superior ISO player. This stagnates the offense, and I think Bazemore also is a more likely passer to help our starting offense move a little better. Thanks. Rodney Hood is not who's stagnating our offense. It's a product of the way our offensive sets are structured, how much perimeter movement they involve. A lot of that perimeter movement doesn't get guys attacking the rim and doesn't get guys open shots, so then you end up with one guy holding the ball and trying to isolate and go one-on-one. CJ is the number one culprit in terms of stagnating our offense. I actually think Rodney Hood has played a very good brand of basketball. I don't know what his stats are now, but before that Golden State Warrior game last night, he was shooting over 50% from the the field and over 50% from 3 and averaging 14 points per game. That's the small forward we need next to Damian and CJ to help take the pressure off them offensively. And Rodney Hood's making a lot of good decisions with the basketball. He's not getting many assists, but he's not really making any poor decisions like CJ is. He's just catching and shooting if he has the space, or if he gets ran off the line, he's catching and attacking the defense. And then when teams are switching a small guard onto Rodney Hood to put a bigger wing on one member of our backcourt, Rodney Hood has the post-up game to be able to punish them for that. So that's why he makes sense in the starting lineup. Bazemore's really struggled. Hood is a much better player than Kent Bazemore at this point, and therefore that's why I think it makes sense that Rodney Hood starts over Kent Bazemore. So anyway, that wraps up this video. If you watched this entire video, I appreciate it. And for those who watched the entire video, if you donate to me on Patreon, you'll have a chance to maybe do a Monday mailbag with me in the future and answer some of these questions yourself. There's some perks on Patreon for those who donate to me, and you can go check that out. The Patreon link is in the description below. And then also, if you want to save money on upcoming Blazer games, you can buy tickets with SeatGeek, and if you use the promo code BlazersUprise, no space in between that, it's just one word. If you use that promo code, you'll save 20 bucks off your first SeatGeek purchase. This works for Blazer games, it works for concerts, it works for a number of different types of events, and it also helps me out, it helps the channel out, so that's a win-win. You save, it helps me out, you get tickets. That sounds like a good deal to me. So anyway, advertisements are over, this outro's over, this video's over. I'll see you guys later. This has been Tori. Peace out. Go Blazers.